This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Alright, and welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, it's May 2nd. What is it? Wednesday today? Yeah, it is Wednesday. And here's what we got going on today. Cleveland and Toronto played their game one of the second round yesterday, and it was a fun matchup, but Toronto definitely should have won that game. I'm going to give my thoughts on all of that for the first segment. Second segment, we're going to head over to the Champions League. All right, we got Liverpool and Roma playing as I'm recording this, so that game might be over by the time we hit the second segment. If not, I mean, it's pretty much, I think Liverpool's they're tied right now 2-2, and I think Liverpool's up 7-4 in aggregate, so it'd be very difficult for Roma to get out there. So we're going to talk about that a bit, and then we're going to be talking about yesterday's Champions League game between Bayern and Madrid, and then talk about the final. All right, so we'll be doing that. Third segment, we're going to head back over to the NBA. We had game 2 between New Orleans and Golden State. We're going to be talking about that one. All right, give my thoughts on Steph Curry coming back, how good the Warriors have been, and see if New Orleans has any chance whatsoever at coming back. All right, so that's basically what the show's going to be. Fourth segment, we got a couple of hockey games going on tonight, so we're going to be talking about those a bit and pretty much talking about anything else coming or going on in the world of sports. All right, so it's going to be a fun show. I'm going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it. Everyone's going to enjoy it. All right, so let's get into it. Like I said, Cavs, Raptors, right here. Cavs ended up winning this one 113-112 in overtime. For the Cavs, you had Kevin Love with 7 points. 13 rebounds, shot 3 of 13, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. George Hill had 4 points in this one, shot 2 of 7. Kyle Korver had 19 points, 2 rebounds, shot 7 of 17, 5 of 12 from the three-point line. J.R. Smith had 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 6 of 11, 5 of 6 from the three-point line. Off the bench, you had Jeff Green, who had 16 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, 2 rebounds, shot 4 of 4, 1 of 1 from the three-point line. Also got to the free throw line 8 times, hit 7 of those. So Jeff Green had a real productive game here. Tristan Thompson started in game 7 of round 1, ended up coming off the bench here, but did play some decent amount of minutes off the bench, played 26. That was 2 less than Jeff Green, who led the bench with 28 minutes. Tristan Thompson had 14 points, 12 rebounds, shot 5 of 8. Literally nothing more you could ask of Tristan Thompson there. Did his job perfectly. This is exactly what the Cavs needed if they want to get better as a team in the playoffs. Because, I mean, so far it's just been LeBron versus Indiana. But now, I mean, more so, yes, they didn't play as well as you would like, but you do have other guys producing rather than it just being LeBron. All right, as for the guys that they traded for, Rodney Hood, he played 16 minutes, went 1 of 5 from the field, had 2 points. Jordan Clarkson went 2 of 7 from the field, shot 1 of 2 from the three-point line, had 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. And then Larry Nance did not play in this one at all. For the Raptors, all right, you had Serge Ibaka with 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 3 of 8. Valanciunas had 21 points, 21 rebounds, shot 7 of 19 there. And Valanciunas in the playoffs, we don't really talk about him enough, but this guy gets so much better when the stage gets bigger. All right, like it's ridiculous how well this guy's been playing so far in the playoffs. And obviously, he didn't get the flashiness of a Kyrie Irving or Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan, but nonetheless, he is probably one of their best players in the playoffs so far. And speaking of Kyle Lowry, he had 18 points, 10 assists, 3 rebounds, shot 6 of 12, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. DeMar DeRozan had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, shot 10 of 20. And then off the bench, you had Siakam with 11 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, shot 4 of 5. CJ Miles had 6 points, and then you had Fred VanVleet with 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 2 of 7. VanVleet, him and LeBron sort of got into it in a way. I mean, I think it was Van Vliet going up for a layup. LeBron fouls him, then LeBron pushes him to the side. And it was hilarious. You see LeBron walk away from it, and then you see Van Vliet, they get it all, like pretty much just like a barking dog. You know how they run up on you and stuff like that. You see Van Vliet, you can see him yelling and stuff like that. The team's holding him back, and then you see LeBron. As soon as he sees Van Vliet walking up, LeBron starts turning to him, and it's just like one of those where it's like, yeah, Van Vliet probably wanted those Raptors players to hold him back because he wanted no business with LeBron James. I mean, it was just hilarious to see that. It was hilarious. But nonetheless, I mean, yeah, Cavs took game one. Like I said, they won 113 to 112 in overtime, and fact of the matter is, Toronto blew this one, okay? I've been trying hard not to be the guy where it's like, oh, it's Toronto, they have no shot. All right, they're going to choke as they always do because of the fact that that's being lazy there if you're just basing past performances on how they've done, okay? But it's like they make it so hard. They had control of this game the entire time, up until the last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter. Okay, and even then, so the Cavs really weren't doing themselves any favors by trying to take the lead. All right, because I think I forgot to read off LeBron's stats for this, but nonetheless, LeBron had 26 points, shot 12 of 30, 1 of 8 from the three-point line, had 11 rebounds, 13 assists, so triple-double there and 2 blocks. But nonetheless, getting back to it. All right, like I said, the Raptors were in the driver's seat the entire game. It was really the Cavs were hanging in there because after the first quarter, it was 33-19. Cavs bring it back down to 4 points after that, or 3 points, however many they were down after the first half. And then they kept it close throughout, but it's like you were watching, like you could honestly clearly tell that yes, Toronto was the better team, and yeah, they were most likely going to win this game. All right. And they were playing well, but like I said, with the old Toronto teams, well, not the old Toronto teams, just the last few years of them in the playoffs, when the stage gets big, they shrink. Okay, and that's what happened. I mean, there was no reason, this game should have never got to overtime. All right, at all. I think the Raptors, to close out the game from the last couple minutes of the fourth quarter to the end of overtime, missed 15 out of the last 16 shots. Okay, that's ridiculous. There was one point in the game where it was I can't remember who, but nonetheless, they drive in. Van Vliet takes a 3 at the end of the fourth quarter, I think it was. Or was it the end of that overtime? I can't remember exactly. The game was yesterday and all that, so it's a little bit foggy now. But nonetheless, I mean, Van Vliet takes the 3. Raptors get a rebound. I can't remember whoever got the rebound tries to put it up. It doesn't go in. Then they try to tip it in again. Doesn't go in. Valanciunas gets the ball. Tries to put it back up. That doesn't go in. It's like stuff like that. I mean, they had 4 different opportunities on that one play to go out and score, and they just couldn't get it done. Okay? And, I mean, if you're looking at it, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry didn't play, bad or anything like that. It wasn't great, but I don't know. Lowry went 6 of 12. That's 50%. 3 of 6 from 3. That's 50% there. Okay? 18 points, 10 assists. On the surface, that looks like a great game. He played well. Okay? DeMar DeRozan, 10 of 20 from the field, 50%. Didn't hit a 3, but he's not really that great of a three-point shooter, so you can't really hold that against him. Had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. All right? It looks good, but it's just he could have did more on those last few minutes of the game. Okay? And just looking at the whole team, the Raptors didn't play bad at all. Valanciunas had 21 points, 21 rebounds. The bench did their job. It's just, I'm not sure. Van Vliet missed a couple of open threes at the end of the fourth quarter. And maybe it's just when this team sees LeBron, they get scared. I have no answer for it. I've been trying, okay? I've been talking with Tate before each show and all that, pretty much just talking, what do you think about this team? What do you think about that team? And he knows with me in Toronto, I mean, I've been kind of about him because of their past. I'm like, you know what, you can't do that. So I've tried to believe him. And then sure enough, our first words out of my mouth in our conversation is, you know what, the Raptors, they blew it. All right, he knew it, I knew it, everyone knew it. The Raptors got to be better. Okay, the Raptors by far have the better team compared to the Cavs. And those of you saying, oh no, the Cavs have the better team. No, the Cavs have the best player. As far as an overall team, Cavs might have the worst team out of the 4 remaining teams in the East. All right? And the Celtics are missing Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward. There was no point in this game where it's oh yeah, the Cavs are taking control. That's it. I guess until the overtime, and even then, so the Cavs only scored 8 points in overtime. Raptors got 7. All right? I'm not really sure what Toronto's thing is, what their problem is as far as playing the Cavs or just being in the second round of the playoffs, but this is something you got to fix because losing game one, definitely one of the worst things that could have happened to Toronto. Because of the fact that going into the series, I mean, Toronto was the favorite according to Vegas. I picked them to win in 6 games, and I'm not jumping ship or anything like that. I still have Toronto winning the series. But it's like game one is one of those tone setters right there. Okay, if you're Toronto, you got to take game one at home. Pretty much remind the Cavs that, yeah, you guys have been pretty bad throughout the playoffs. It's just this LeBron guy that's been saving you. And even then, LeBron didn't even shoot the ball relatively well. I mean, he went 12 of 30 from the field. That's got to be around 40%, I think it is right there. Let me double check. Let's do some quick math here. Yeah, that's 40% exactly. Okay? And they still couldn't take advantage. I'm not really sure what the Raptors need to do more in order to fix this. I mean, hitting your shots at the end of the game would be a solid little idea. But they definitely got to win game 2. Okay, because of the fact that Cleveland in the last series was pretty good at home. All right, and I just don't see the Raptors really getting games 3 or games 4. Honestly, if the Cavs get game 2, I could see this being a sweep. Okay, and I picked the Raptors in 6. If the Cavs get game 2, you're heading into Cleveland, and we know, all right, let's not, the point I'm trying to make here is that, obviously, we've seen the last couple of years the Raptors, quote-unquote, choke, okay? Pretty much just not show up when it matters in the playoffs. And, of course, we're the outside noise when it comes to the players, okay? When they refer to outside noise, that's the media, that's the fans, that's everyone who talks, okay? We are outside noise. They still hear it, even though they say they try to tune it out. Okay, they know what we say, and I'm sure some of them believe it. Okay, Kyle Lowry, when he hears, oh yeah, he shrinks when it comes to playoffs. I'm sure he hears it. I'm sure that's in the back of his mind. Okay, and with the Cavs, if they were to go up 2-0 heading into Cleveland, you don't think that Toronto's going to be hearing that outside noise? Oh, Raptors, they shrink. Kyle Lowry didn't play well in the playoffs. Okay, DeMar DeRozan, supposedly a great player, but can't get his team over the hump. You don't think that's going to be in the back of their minds, especially in Cleveland, where, I mean, Cleveland as a city probably has, as a whole, Cleveland, just the Browns, the Cavs, the Indians probably have some of the best fans in the world. But nonetheless, Toronto going into that little atmosphere with everything that's been said, and like I said, I know they hear it. They're human just like us. That stuff affects them even if they say it doesn't. Okay? Imagine. They could get swept. All right, I'm not going to go out and say they are or anything like that. Like I said, I still got Toronto in 6. But it's a matter of you do not want to go into Cleveland down 2-0 whatsoever. So we'll see what they got going on. I mean, I feel like game 2, it's not a must-win, but it's one of those where it's you really don't want to be down 2-0, so you should probably win it anyway. All right? So we'll see what they got going on. But like I said, Toronto just completely blew that game. Shouldn't have lost it. That's what I'm going to say. They shouldn't have lost it at all. So we're going to wrap it up there. I did say we were going to do Champions League for segment 2, but Roma and Liverpool's game is got about 12 minutes left, so we're going to save that for the 3rd segment. It should be over by then, so we'll do that. Next up, we're going to be talking Golden State versus New Orleans. Talk about, pretty much just New Orleans in the series and then Golden State's dominance. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. And I'm watching this Liverpool game as I'm doing the podcast, and Roma is trying their hardest, all right, to get a goal back. They still need 3. Yeah, they scored 2. So they need 3 to send it to extra time. And I mean, they're getting chances. It's just they can't put the ball in the net. So we'll see. They got about 10 minutes left as I'm recording this right now. So we'll see. Like I said, we're going to talk about it for the third segment. If they go to extra time, then, I mean, we'll just do a whole little play-by-play type of thing for the third segment. So we'll see. But nonetheless, like I said, I mean, for this segment, we are going to be talking about Golden State and New Orleans. So let's do that. All right, so we had game 2 between these two teams, round 2 here. Game 1 was a blowout. This was without Steph Curry also. New Orleans just looked outmatched the entire time, all right? They did look better, though, for Game 2. Golden State ended up winning 121-116, but nonetheless, the Pelicans did hang around. All right, for the Pelicans, you had Nikola Mirotic with 18 points, 2 steals, 9 rebounds, shot 7 of 16, 3 of 8 from the three-point line. A big step up from his Game 1 performance. Anthony Davis had 25 points, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 5 assists, 15 rebounds, shot 12 of 24, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Etuan Moore had 14 points, shot 5 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from the three-point line, also brought in 2 rebounds there. Rondo played extremely well in this one, had 22 points, 12 assists, 5 steals, 7 rebounds, shot 8 of 15, 3 of 4 from the three-point line. Drew Holiday stepped up in this one a little bit more. I mean, his shooting could have been a little bit better, but nonetheless, he did put down 24 points, had 8 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 11 of 24, 2 of 9 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Darius Miller with 5 points, 3 assists, shot 1 of 3. Solomon Hill got 6 shots off in this game off the bench, went 1 of 6 from the field, had 2 points. That's not great, especially considering the fact that they only lost by 5. I mean, if 2 of those shots go in, 2 more, possibly could have ended as a tie game into overtime. And then you had Ian Clark, which I don't really understand. He only played 6 minutes in this one, shot 1 of 2 from the field, 2 points there. Maybe it's a matter of they don't think he could deal with Curry or Clay, but I feel like if he was your best bench player all season long, you probably want to get him some more minutes in this playoffs. But who knows? Alvin Gentry, good coach for the most part, so he's got an idea there. For the Warriors, you had Draymond Green with 20 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks, shot 7 of 11, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. Andre Iguodala had 15 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, shot 5 of 8. Kevin Durant had 29 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, shot 11 of 23, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. Klay Thompson had 10 points, 6 rebounds, shot 4 of 20, 2 of 11 from the three-point line. Terrible game there. And then off the bench, Steph Curry, like I said, came back, didn't start. All right, but off the bench, played 27 minutes, had 28 points. I mean, it's ridiculous what I'm about to read off, okay? The guy had 28 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 8 of 15 from the field, 5 of 10 from the three-point line. Was a team best plus 26 out there, okay? To put that in perspective, Warriors won by 5, and the next highest plus-minus was... Let's see, Kevin Looney with plus 7, but as far as the starting 5 goes between Durant, Clay, and all those guys, Draymond Green was a plus 6. All right. I mean, it was ridiculous there for Steph Curry to come back and play as well as he did. And I like what the Warriors are doing here, okay? People will try to discredit Steve Kerr's coaching because of the fact that he is coaching the best team of all time. All right, and yes, this is the best team of all time. I will take this team over... I don't know, it's kind of weird talking about best team of all time. Like, we use the 96-97 Bulls as the kind of like the bar. But, I mean, the 86-87 Celtics and the Showtime Lakers, are we sure that the Warriors could beat them? All right, that might have to be a segment for it might have to be a topic for the fourth segment there. I mean, imagine these guys going up against Magic. Like, what's Steph Curry going to do against... I don't know, is Magic quick enough to keep up with Steph Curry as far as guarding him? Is he? I don't know. I think we're going to have to dive deeper into that one. Yeah, we're going to have to dive deeper into that one eventually. Not sure if that's going to be today, but we are going to have that conversation, I think, eventually. But like I said, all right, Steve Kerr coaching one of the best teams of all time. People are going to discredit him because he's got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, who are 2 top 5 players, arguably. And then you got Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, who are both top 20 players, and that's not up for debate. Okay? You got your veterans and all that. But nonetheless, with Steve Kerr not playing a center, I mean, I feel like this is kind of gone against the Pelicans because of the fact that AD is really the only pretty much center they got on that team. If they had Boogie, I'm sure Kerr would be playing with a center, but nonetheless, he's making the Pelicans go small, and it's working here. All right, he's dictating what the Pelicans need to do in order for the Warriors to pull out the wins here. All right? And with the Pelicans, I mean, like I said, they kept it close throughout the game, and we're pretty much clawing away, but it's just like the Warriors, that's one thing about the Warriors that I've noticed watching them is that it's going to be close, but it's almost like that little Geico commercial where I think it's a Geico commercial, or is it State Farm? I think it's State Farm. All right, yeah, it's State Farm one, where they got the old man, like, you know how they go, like a good neighbor State Farm is there, and the guy will pop up. Okay, and then the girl goes, "Oh, I wish my agent would do that." Guy pops up. It's a dude, a fisherman, and he's got the dollar. It's like, "Oh, you almost had it. You almost had it." That guy, that old man with the fishing pole and the dollar, that's the Golden State Warriors. Okay, they're constantly in game 2 dangling the little pole. All right, they got the dollar out there. Anthony Davis and the Pelicans are trying to grab it, and it's like, "Oh, you almost had it. You almost had it," and they just never end up getting it. Okay, with the Pelicans, they were arguably the best. They played the best out of any team in the playoffs in round 1. I think we could agree on that, okay? It'd be probably Philly in the East, New Orleans in the West. I know that the Warriors did look great against the Spurs, but they won that in 5 games, okay? There was a point in that series where the Spurs were the better team on that given night. With Portland and New Orleans, there was no instance where Portland was the better team on the given night, and I don't think there was ever an instance where they were the best team for more than a half. All right, the Pelicans just simply dominated that series. All right, we talked about it yesterday, but if you remember, all right, me going into the series, I wasn't going as far to say that, you know what, the Pelicans could win this series, but I was like, they could possibly, and again, this was before the series started, but I was like, you know what, they could possibly steal the game 1, maybe game 2 if Steph doesn't play, just given with how well they played in the first round, and they could make it a 6-game series possibly, who knows, maybe even get it to 7 games, okay? Now we get here, and it's like, are they even going to get a game here? All right, after game 1, because that's when I was able to make my predictions for this show, I ended up taking Golden State in 5 games. You could already tell with the way they've been playing, the Pelicans really don't have a shot in the series. Okay, and maybe it's just a matter they need to go back home. Maybe they can steal a couple there or get at least one, but it's a matter you come back to Oracle down 3-1. You're not leaving Oracle. You're not going back to New Orleans, all right? The only reason why you're going back to New Orleans is because your season's over. I'm going to go, like, again, I'm like, obviously, games 3 and games 4 for this series aren't must wins technically, but like I said, you want to go back down to Oracle 3-1 in the series, be my guest. Okay, so we'll see what the Pelicans end up got going on in New Orleans for these next 2 games, but I mean, with Golden State going into the playoffs, it was, can Houston knock this team off? All right, can Houston win a series against this Warriors team? And me, for the most part this season, like all season long really, I was always, Houston's a good team, they can get it to 7, but in reality, they're just simply not going to win. All right, it doesn't matter who's playing, who's not. The Rockets will not defeat the Warriors in a 7-game series. And it's just like now, I mean, I even believe that even more. Okay? The Pelicans, by far, were a great team in the first round. No doubt. But going into the series, it's a matter of Golden State is just too good. Golden State's one of the best teams of all time. This is a dynasty. Okay? Golden State gets this 3rd title right here. It's 3 out of the last 4 years? That's definitely a dynasty there. What we're witnessing, we could see this Warriors team, if they stick together and don't really get too flashy or add any too big pieces or anything like that, which I'm not even sure they can, just giving up all the money they got tied up in these players, they could win, honestly, 6 titles together. Okay, this could be my generation's Chicago Bulls. All right, in the 90s, they had Jordan, Pippen, and all those guys. Here, we got Curry, Durant, and Clay and Draymond. All right, we could very well see the Warriors dominate for this period of time, maybe even until these guys retire. Okay? And I don't feel like that's too far out there for a comparison. This team is dominating. I'm at a point where it's like, a buddy asked me yesterday, okay? He asked me about my favorite team. He's like, oh, this happens, that happens. They're ready for the finals. And I'm like, no, they're not. Okay? The finals, and again, I'm not trying to shut it down. If you're a Rockets fan, you're a Celtics fan, you're a Sixers fan, whatever. All right. You could think you have a chance in the finals, or if you're a Rockets fan, you have a chance in the Western Conference Finals. But me, as an unbiased third party, the Warriors, they got it all but locked up. It's over. I'm at the point where it's like, why even play the rest of the series or the rest of the playoffs, okay? Because imagine if they get past the Rockets, do you really think the Cavs, the Celtics, the Raptors, or the Sixers can get a game against the Warriors? Maybe the Sixers or Celtics. Possibly. Maybe if the Celtics get Hayward back for that finals, maybe Kyrie decides to come back. Who knows? Which I think is highly impossible. I mean, he's walking on a treadmill right now, as far as that's where he's at in his rehab. So I was just throwing that out there. Like, maybe if that happened, maybe they could get a game. Maybe Toronto could get a game if they even make it out of that second round. And as far as Cleveland, I mean, maybe LeBron puts up a huge performance. But other than that, I mean, those things are highly unlikely to happen. Warriors are going to sweep. All right? And I'm not even sure if the Rockets could get a series like that to 7 games because of the fact that with the way that the Rockets play, there's no plan B for that team. Okay? The Warriors would much rather you play the way that the Rockets do because they could play that same way, but the Warriors got a plan B, they got a plan C, and they got a plan D. And again, I'm not trying to ruin the playoffs or anything like that. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it's a matter of the Warriors are just that good right now, so we'll see. But like I said, I mean, you got games 3 and games 4 for New Orleans. Maybe they can make some noise. Maybe they could pull something out of there. So who knows? But either way, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking Champions League. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked about Warriors and Pelicans, their game yesterday, and we talked Cavs, Raptors. But it looks like, again, we're recording this early, so by the time you listen to it, you're going to know who's playing in the final. And I mean, by the time I'm sure I'm done with this sentence, yeah, so Liverpool just won. Roma, they almost had it. They just hit a penalty right now, like the 90-something minute, like 92nd minute, just with a few seconds left to the 93rd. Had only 3 minutes of stoppage time, and they ended up hitting the penalty, but it's too little, too late now. Liverpool advanced to the final along with Real Madrid, and if you're Roma, I mean, you give up 1 goal less, and you're into the final. They almost did it again. Almost. So close. And that's gotta hurt. I mean, that's gotta hurt big time there. Wow. And I'm just like a little bit in shock because they almost had it. I mean, going into the game, I figured it was over. There's no way they can do it twice. There's no way they could in the quarterfinals go into Barcelona and win 3-0 and advance to the semifinals. There was no way of it happening, but it happened. Okay? And now, I mean, it's a matter of there was no way they can go back to Roma and defeat Liverpool. I think they were down 5-2 in the first match. They needed 3 goals. They got 4, and they couldn't get past. All right. I mean, I was watching that game, like I said, for the first 2 segments, watching through the second half, and you had Milner with the own goal in the 15th minute. That sets up some hope there. All right. No more other goals in the first. Actually, you had Mane scoring. All right, so it was Mane scoring in the 9th. in the 9th minute, which made it 1-0 Liverpool. That makes it, 6-2 on aggregate. All right, then you get the Milner own goal, which makes it 6-3. Wijnaldum scores in the 25th, which makes it 7-3. Okay. And that second goal right there is what killed him, obviously. But the second half, I mean, Roma put up about as big a performance as they could. Second half comes again. They're down 7-3 on aggregate. You get Edin Dzeko scoring in the 52nd minute. Then Nainggolan ends up scoring in the 86th. They need 2 more goals. 2 more goals to get it done. All right. And, I mean, they just get a penalty at the end with the 94th minute, basically. He hits it. It's 7-6. And when Liverpool kicks it off again, ref blows the whistle. It's over. All right. And, I mean, it was close. It was close. Roma played about as well as you could. I mean, not as well as you could because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to knock Roma for giving up 2 goals. Obviously, going up into the game, I mean, you couldn't really afford to do that at all. You still had a chance to end up winning and coming back, but it makes it a little bit more difficult. So, I mean, they're out. Roma's out, and now we got a Liverpool-Madrid final. And speaking of Madrid, they played on Tuesday, which was yesterday. And you had Madrid drawing with Bayern Munich 2-2. Madrid advances 4-3 on aggregate. You had Karim Benzema with the double here. Goals in the 11th and 46th minute. And you had Joshua Kimmich, who pretty much took the same route as the Juventus. Scored in the 3rd minute against Madrid. Got the little rally started there. But again, Benzema scores in the 11th, so that makes it 1-1. Benzema scores again in the 46th, so that makes it 2-1. You got James Rodriguez scoring in the 63rd minute, which made it 2-2. And then just pretty much Bayern just needed 1 more goal. They get 1 more goal. They win. They advance to the final. All right. But nonetheless, they couldn't get it going either. All right. You had Thomas Muller, who pretty much for the last second of the game had an opportunity to put the ball in the back of the net and simply couldn't. And with Bayern Munich, it was a matter of they didn't take advantage of their opportunities the way Madrid did. Okay, Madrid had far less shots in these 2 games. Bayern had more shots on goal, more shots to the net, and it's just Madrid took advantage with theirs and Bayern didn't. All right, there's no reason for Bayern to not be in the final here other than they just simply couldn't capitalize. And Madrid could. All right, so now we got what I hope for, a Madrid-Liverpool final. I really think that this is going to be a good matchup. I'm very excited to see Mo Salah, Firmino, and Sadio Mane going up against Madrid's team, the defense. I'm also excited to see Ronaldo going up against that Liverpool backline. Liverpool's defense has always been a problem the last few years, but this year it seems like Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, and Van Dijk, and then you got Lovren too, who I believe has been back there. They've sharpened it up and they've played well. And you got Karius, where you've had Mignolet the last few years. He's been kind of like an iffy goalie. Liverpool's always needed a goalie, and now you got Karius. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Playing well. All right, this is probably as good as Liverpool have played since the year they pretty much gave away the league. I think that was the year where Steven Gerrard slipped up and Demba Ba ended up scoring the game-winning goal for Chelsea there. Pretty much just took Liverpool out of the contention, which, I mean, you figure with Liverpool, man, they got to get one eventually. And let's say they end up beating Madrid for the Champions League. What would be bigger? Pep's dominance in the English Premier League this season, winning the title as early as he did? Or would it be Liverpool knocking off pretty much a team in Madrid who have dominated the Champions League for the last 4 years, 3 out of the last 4 years? All right. I mean, I'd have to go with Liverpool. Okay, and it all comes down to the whole, what do you think is more important to win? The Champions League title or your league title? And again, I'm always going to go towards the league, or towards the Champions League, I should say, because of the fact that you're beating the best of the best in Europe. So, we'll see about it, but I mean, for both of these teams, both Madrid and Liverpool, I mean, if you look back to it, Madrid have just been pretty much just brutal in the league. I think they're back to 3rd right now in La Liga. Let me double check. Actually, they're standing right there. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, they had no shot at La Liga early on in the season. Yeah, they're back to 3rd place right now. At one point, they were in 4th. All right. I mean, you do have a team like Valencia who's played well all season long, so I did give Madrid a bit of a scare, and I'm sure now, I mean, Madrid still got a game in hand on Valencia, so they're going to extend that little lead a little bit more. You got Madrid with 71 points, Valencia with 67, but yeah, they're currently 4 back at Atletico Madrid right now, and it's just a matter of, yeah, Madrid pretty much lost the league early, and I guess just put their complete focus on the Champions League, as you probably should if you lose the league as early as they did. All right, Barcelona, I mean, Madrid's only goal in the Liga now is to defeat Barcelona when they play on May 6th, which is actually this Sunday now that I'm realizing it. I didn't even realize that was this week. I figured that was like next week, but I don't know. It's just weird now with the dates. You never really pay attention to them. But yeah, that's Madrid's next goal other than winning the Champions League is knocking off Barcelona on Sunday. They beat Barcelona on Sunday. That's going to be probably Madrid's biggest win of the season. That's going to kind of take some of the air out of Barcelona winning the league title because of the fact that now they're going for that Invincibles record, all right? Going 38 matches without a loss is incredibly difficult. And right now they're doing it. They got 26 wins, 8 draws, no losses. And with Madrid, I mean, that's their only goal. I'd be surprised if Barcelona ended up winning that game. A draw, sure, whatever. But for Madrid, I mean, that's literally all their focus right now. And you know what? Now that I think about it, I mean, this is all Barcelona's focus is to keep that unbeaten streak going. So, I mean, I would not be surprised, actually, if Barcelona ended up winning, all right? But you got to figure, I mean, with the way both teams have been playing, and again, there's always going to be debate, so I'm not wrong, right? And I'm not wrong. But nonetheless, given with how the teams have been playing, I mean, you figure that Madrid and Liverpool, and again, as of right now, are the best teams in Europe. All right? And it's a little bit scary to say that because of the fact I know there are people in their cars listening or in their classes listening or whatever, listening to this podcast, pretty much is ready to blow up because either they think Barcelona is the best team, they think Manchester City is the best team, or whatever. But I mean, again, this is the whole, what do you put more emphasis into more? The league or the Champions League? Me, it's the Champions League. If you're the two final teams in the Champions League, all right, you're in the final. For me, you're the best, one of the best teams in the world. Okay? Barcelona, they easily could have been here, but they gave it up against Roma. Okay? That's great they won the league. They're going to win the Liga. That's great that they might finish undefeated. But it's a matter of, I mean, if you don't win the Champions League, or at least don't make it to the final or even the semifinal for that matter, can I consider you one of the best teams in Europe? And yes, Barcelona is one of the best teams in Europe. I don't think they're just top 2 right now. Given with how Madrid and Liverpool played, yes, I'd say that they're top 2. And it might just be me being a prisoner in the moment, but nonetheless, I mean, what else could you say? Isn't Champions League the best teams of Europe? Yes. Okay. Isn't that the tournament to determine who the best team in Europe is? Subjectively, I think, yeah. Okay, and if you got Liverpool and Madrid in the final, wouldn't you say that those are the 2 best teams left in Europe? For me, yes. Okay, I understand City have won the Champions League. I understand, or not the Champions League, the English League title. I understand Barcelona have won the Spanish League title. That's fine. They did that early on in the season. All right, but this year, 2018, Madrid and Liverpool have looked very good. All right, Liverpool beat Manchester City in the quarterfinals. Okay. So that rests my argument there. I would take Liverpool over Manchester City at this point in time. Okay. Again, I'm just talking right now. At this point in time, I would take Liverpool over Manchester City. And I guess on Sunday, we could decide who's better as of right now, Barcelona or Real Madrid. Real Madrid end up winning that game. I got to say Madrid's the better team as of right now. I understand Barcelona's going to win the league and all that, but again, I'm talking right now. So we got Liverpool versus Madrid in the final, 2 very historic teams. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. Again, I was looking most forward to this final rather than Bayern Munich versus Liverpool, Bayern Munich versus Roma, or even Madrid versus Roma. Okay, I think that these are the 2 best teams left, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Liverpool pretty much just deal with this Madrid team who's pretty much dominated Europe year after year. Okay, what kind of game plan is Jurgen Klopp going to draw in order to limit Cristiano Ronaldo? And even a guy like Benzema who played well in the semifinals, how are you going to stop him? Okay? And as far as Madrid goes, I mean, you're going to have to worry about probably one of the best front 3s in all of soccer. Mane, Firmino, and Salah. Salah's been one of the best players in the world this year. How are you going to stop him? Who knows? All right? But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to this final. I think it's going to be probably one of the more iconic ones just given the history of these 2 teams. At one point, a very long time ago, Liverpool was the best in England. All right, now they've been sort of searching to get back to where they are. I mean, winning the Champions League pretty much just rockets them back up there as far as being the Liverpool Football Club. Okay, and as far as Madrid, it's a matter of can you get 4 championships in the last 5 years? So we'll see, but again, I'm looking very excited to this final. All right, the all-white kid of Madrid versus the all-red kid of Liverpool. It's going to be fun. So we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. All right, as always, usually my favorite segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked about the two NBA playoff games from yesterday, which was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. We had the Warriors beating the New Orleans Pelicans 121-116, I believe it was, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers knocking off the Toronto Raptors in overtime, 113-112. All right, then we talked Champions League. You had Liverpool losing to Roma today 4-2, but still wasn't enough for Roma. Liverpool advanced on aggregate at 7-6 to the Champions League final. And then yesterday you had Real Madrid drawing with Bayern Munich 2-2, and they advanced to the final 4-3 on aggregate. All right, so that's pretty much what the show's consisted of so far. And now we're going to talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. And when we say anything else, we mean anything else. Okay, so yesterday, of course, the Warriors were playing all that, and then you got Charles Barkley. And with Charles Barkley, for me, he's very entertaining on Inside the NBA on TNT, but it's like his analysis and all that isn't really what I look for. Okay, if anything, when he picks a certain team, he's kind of got the Skip Bayless effect. When he picks a certain team, that's code for, pick the other team. But nonetheless, he's always seemed to have a problem with the new generation of players in the NBA, I feel. He's had his problems with LeBron. He's had his problems with other players. And it seems like now he's got a problem with Draymond Green. All right. And I feel like that's how most of the older NBA or former NBA players have been. They just don't really seem to respect this new age of players. And I'm not sure if it's a matter of maybe they feel that. Because there is talk. There's always been conversation stuff about which era is the best. Okay. And it's usually been the 90s versus this era. Okay. And for me, I take this era over the 90s era because of the fact that guys are more athletic and all that. But nonetheless, I think that the older players are kind of tired of it. And the game was played a much different way back then. I mean, when you had the Bill Laimbeer, let's see, Steph Curry driving down into the paint, to the hole. Okay. Now he could do that and probably not get touched. Okay. He does that back in the 90s. Bill Laimbeer is going to have a nice little forearm waiting for you. Okay. So back then, Isaiah Thomas, guys like that. I mean, back when they played the Lakers in the finals, you had Isaiah Thomas driving in. Him and Magic were best buddies. Magic throws an elbow to Isaiah Thomas, let him know, I'm here. Okay? Michael Jordan, basically, if you watch that 30 for 30, had to pretty much spend his entire summer in the weight room because of the fact that the Pistons beat him up so badly. Okay? And I feel like, given that's how the game was back then, and Charles Barkley played during that era, he kind of feels that maybe these players are soft and all that. All right? So, I mean, the point I'm trying to get at here is that yesterday, Charles Barkley said that he hoped that someone would punch Draymond Green in the face. Okay? And I didn't see it at the time. I saw that he said it or whatever on social media and all that. I didn't get, see the exact context of it. But fact of the matter is that Charles Barkley can't be saying that. Okay? And I understand on Inside the NBA, they get him, Kenny Smith, and Shaq pretty much get a lot of leeway as far as what they could say and what they can't. It's kind of like Ernie Johnson is the moderator. Pretty much make sure it doesn't get too out of hand, but make sure it's still entertaining to watch. And I feel like Charles Barkley is saying that he wants someone to punch Draymond Green in the face, and I'm sure it had to do something with Draymond Green's little run-ins with Rajon Rondo and all that. And that was another funny thing to see Rondo and Green getting in each other's faces. But nonetheless, I mean, with Barkley saying that he wants someone to punch Draymond Green in the face, that's a little point where, yeah, it's over the line. Okay? And me personally, I mean, fact of the matter is, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, people are not going to like each other. Obviously, they're not going to fight each other or anything like that. But on national television, you can't say that. Okay? You can't. And again, this is one of those things where you can't have it both ways. It's either you let Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaq say whatever they want, and sometimes they're going to cross that line, or you got to reel it back in, and it's pretty much ESPN's little talk show with the NBA where it's more so just analysis on the game rather than guys trying to be entertaining while they're doing that, okay? And I'm not saying that the ESPN dudes aren't entertaining at all. If anything, I probably go to them more than I do inside the NBA for analysis on a series because of the fact that I just feel the guys on the ESPN are more knowledgeable. All right, but now I guess we got this little rivalry between Draymond Green and Charles Barkley, and it seems like Draymond Green is trying to pull the card of, well, the NBA has a lot to do with that show and all that, and do they really want one of their guys talking like that? And it's true. What Draymond Green said is not wrong at all. And I'm not picking sides on this or anything like that, mainly because of the fact that it's all just meaningless. Nothing's going to happen between Draymond Green and Charles Barkley. If anything, they might have Charles Barkley apologize or something like that, which I'm not even sure they can get Charles Barkley to do it. He might just quit before he apologizes for what he said. And it all just goes back to the point of, I mean, you can't have it both ways. Either you want these loud, outspoken guys pretty much saying whatever comes to mind. And I mean, it is funny. All right, it's very entertaining. But like I said, at some points, you're going to get them crossing the line. And this was one of those points. And I'm sure the NBA is going to have some talking to with the guys over at TNT. Maybe they just email Charles Barkley just straight up or whatever, tell him, hey, you can't say that. And I mean, I don't know. It is what it is there. But that is something I wanted to bring up. And like I said, I did enjoy Rondo and Draymond Green getting in each other's faces yesterday because of the fact that those are the two alphas on both teams right there. Okay, Rondo's about 6'1", maybe 210 pounds, soaking wet. All right, very skinny guy. And you got Draymond Green, who's probably like 6'5", 6'6". Basically, he's a more athletic version of Charles Barkley, if we're being real here. Okay? Not a better version. All right, I'll still take Charles Barkley over Draymond Green as far as overall players. But Draymond Green is kind of like the new Charles Barkley here, if you think about it. And it's kind of ironic that these guys don't like each other. Because of the fact that Charles Barkley, I'm sure, had no problem being the bad guy, being the guy who did the intangible stuff, the dive for loose balls, pretty much get the rebounds and all that. That's exactly Draymond Green's game. And I wonder if they're ever going to realize that they're basically, I mean, Draymond Green's just basically a more athletic version of him. But seeing Rondo and Draymond get in each other's faces, I mean, it had to happen at one point in the game, at one point in this series, right? And it was hilarious because you see Rondo push Draymond Green. You see Draymond Green walk over to Rondo. And usually you will see guys back up, but Rondo's just right there, and they're jawing at each other. So it was just one nice little cool thing to see. Obviously, I mean, nothing happened from it or anything like that. So who knows? But I mean, yeah, as far as the whole Charles Barkley thing, I mean, what did you expect? At one point, he was going to go out and say some stuff like that, and he did. So either you move on with it, or you tell these guys, hey, you can't really be as open as you've been. So we'll see about it. But let's see anything else going on in the world of sports. I mean, Mookie Betts had his, fourth multi-homer game today. They ended up beating the Royals 5-4. Boston's been on a bit of a slide lately. All right, let's see. We haven't checked the MLB standings in about a week or so, so let's go back and see what's going on over there. All right, so over in the AL list, I believe it is Boston is still in first place. So, yeah, Boston's still in first, but they're only they are 2.5 games up on the Yankees now. Yankees made a bit of a comeback. They were 9-9 at one point. I think it was like 500. And now, I mean, it seems like they're getting things back together. All right, Stan's starting to realize, you know what, it's going to be tough playing in New York, but nonetheless, he's starting to figure out the hang of it. And they're starting to come up on the Red Sox, but have been kind of slumping. All right, over in the AL Central, you got the Cleveland Indians who are in first. They're 3 games up on the Detroit Tigers who are under 500, so that's pretty much all you need to know about that division. Over there in the AL West, you got the Houston Astros who are 20-11. No surprise there. You got the Mariners who are 17-11, game and a half back of the Astros, and then the Angels who are 2 games back of the Astros there. I'm looking at the A's right now. They're 1 game under 500. Bit surprising there. They've been a solid home team, 8-6 at home. It's just the road record that's kind of killed them. Let's see, over in the NL East, you got the Mets, who are still in first place. Mets look good so far. They're 17-10. Braves are a half game back. I'm sure the Braves have surprised some. No one really expected them to be as good as they are. The Phillies are currently 2 games back of the Mets, and then you get the Nationals, who are under 500 by 2 games, 4.5 games back of the Mets. Over there in the NL Central, you get the Cubs, who pretty much made a little resurgence back to the top. They're in first place, but I mean, it's a 3-way tie for first. You got the Brewers, who are 18-13, Cardinals, who are 17-12, and then the Cubs, who are 16-11. So they're all tied for first right now. The Pirates are a half game back of them. You got the Cincinnati Reds, who are 10.5 back. So the NL Central, which might be one of the most competitive divisions in baseball. And then heading over to the NL West, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are in first, 6 games up on the Rockies, who are 16-15. The San Francisco Giants, who somehow decided to be a good idea to build a 2012 All-Star team, are 15-15, 6.5 games back. And you got the Dodgers, who have been real disappointing to start the season, 12-17, 9 games back. So there's your little update on the MLB standings there. Let's see what else we got going on in the world of sports. I think we got just one game going on tonight in the NBA. We got Utah versus Houston. My pick for that is Houston. All right, I just think Utah is just completely outmatched as far as playing the Rockets. Utah does have a solid team, but it's just a matter of they peaked. All right, they peaked in the playoffs. It's over, and that's fine. So I got Houston winning tonight. I think James Harden's going to play well. I think Chris Paul is going to step up a bit. Then we got NHL, so a couple of Stanley Cup playoff games going on tonight. Tampa Bay versus Boston, Vegas versus San Jose. Tampa Bay and Boston, their series is currently tied at 1-1, and then you got Vegas, who's currently up in that series 2-1. All right, I'm going to go ahead and say the Sharks end up winning Game 4. They played not as well as you'd like them to in Game 3, but nonetheless forced it, sent it to overtime, and then it's pretty much just Marc-Andre Fleury. The game that he had in Game 3 was just unbelievable, so the Sharks just simply couldn't win there. And then with Boston and Tampa Bay, I mean, Boston's been looking good, Tampa Bay's been looking good, but I'm going to go with Boston tonight at home, so we'll see if they end up getting the win there. So we're going to wrap it up there. Today we talked about the 2 games that took place yesterday. Warriors knocked off the Pelicans, Cavs knocked off the Raptors, and then we got Liverpool versus Madrid in the final. We talked about that for the 3rd segment, and then for this segment, like I said, Charles Barkley went over the line, crossed the line, but nonetheless, I'm sure nothing's going to come from it. And then we talked a bit about the MLB standings. Made my pick for tonight's NBA game. Got Houston beating Utah, and then I got Boston beating Tampa Bay and San Jose beating Vegas in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back tomorrow, so stay tuned, and I'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.